Ben 10. Инопланетная сверхсила.
Hey everyone, Rascal here.
And Mama, welcome to our channel and to our podcast, Paws On Animation.
Today we're covering the third series in the Ben 10 saga, Ben 10 Ultimate Alien.
Yes, 1 year after Alien Force, guys. Ben's identity has somehow been revealed to the world, and now with his secret out, he must balance his newfound fame and his hero life, all while battling new villains with a new Ultramatrix. That was a mouthful.
Yeah, so before we start, be sure to like, subscribe, and notification updates on future podcasts and Mono Pause videos.
Absolutely. Now remember in one podcast we were saying how we didn't understand how people were not as excited about Ultimate Alien and why some people did not care for it. And unfortunately, after watching this series again for about the third time with a big time gap, we can see the changes it made people change their feelings toward the franchise. Now that being said, we still love Ben 10. It did not ruin the entire Ultimate Alien series, but we did see
Alien Force.
Right. And we did see where it started to change. And we're not sure it's because of Dwayne McDuffie's passing or because they just wanted to go in a different direction.
Yeah. And at first, it really wasn't bad.
It wasn't noticeable, right?
Right. And the worst it did at that point was Agrigor, who was the main antagonist for the first season, or most of the first season, and his constant threat, not being able to beat him. That could get old for some people, and that's understandable when you have an unbeatable villain and it just starts getting annoying. Mm-hmm. And then the second part would be Kevin turning into a monster for the third or fourth time, and by then it was getting old too. Like, you didn't want to see that every series, but they were having some really great episodes in between, and they will always have a satisfactory ending with each arc. Mm-hmm. Then we get to the third season, which was extremely long to just finish out everything instead of just having a third and fourth season, and then that's when it started to fall apart. Either the episodes went on too long when they went about an arc, or they were really dumb when they were fillers.
Oh yeah, some of them did feel like fillers, like they really weren't connected to the arc or the story that was happening. And another thing is, at one point, for about a stretch of 5 episodes, it's like they didn't want to use the original aliens anymore. They kept referencing new aliens that they created, and you didn't see any of the aliens we're familiar with, which was really, really strange.
Yeah.
Because throughout the entire series, or franchise I should say, the original Alien Force and the first 2 seasons of this, there would be a mixture of the aliens he would use. Right. But for like those 5 episodes, they're like, no, we're only going to use these new aliens. Sorry.
Right. And then it became extremely noticeable when we reached the end of Ultimate Alien series. And it was a 2-parter. And part 1 and part 2 felt completely different. And then we found out that one person wrote part 1. And then Dwayne McDuffie wrote part 2. Part 1, Phil Gax was out of character. Ben only used new aliens. King George would not listen to anything. And it was really kind of exasperating, like this is how it's gonna end. Then you get to part 2, it's taken seriously. Phil Gax is back to being himself. Ben's using all his old aliens. There's questioning what it means to be a hero. There's a bunch of action. There's action intensity. And Mom said, well, no wonder it's different. Wayne McDuffie wrote it. Suddenly it was back to being Ben 10.
And you knew it was gonna be that type of episode when the first thing appeared as way big. Whether it's way big, Dwayne McDuffie wrote it. We're back. We're back to where we need to be. And I'm very glad for that, because at least you can say the series ended on a high note.
Yeah.
And on a note that made you say, hey, this is what this franchise is all about. Everything was neatly put together in a package, and you mentioned them all about Ben making good, questioning things, people being back to their characters, seeing aliens we know, and like in the first half, Julie came out of nowhere and we're like,
why? What do I do? Right. And then they even made a shot at the Ultimate Alien forms, which people knew it was kind of unnecessary. They just kind of made them up so they could get some more toys out, because the Ultimate Alien forms really weren't all that useful. they didn't do much else that the regular forms could do. It was like, what was the point? And they actually made twice. One where the alien ultimate forms were sentient and living in the watch, and they wanted to take out Ben so they could get out. Then the second one being Vilgax was mocking Ben. They said, what alien you gonna pull out this time to stop me? Humongous Sword, Diamond Head, or one of your tiresome ultimate forms? It's like, we're all tired of them. It was like, yeah, we know these were pointless now.
And you know, it's great that they try something different. Sometimes it works, sometimes it didn't, and this time the ultimate alien just didn't.
Right.
But for the most part, especially season 1 and 2, the series worked. Really exciting to see them back, see the action, see them go through challenges, and this season, well, I should say this series, actually had some really good episodes. The final season, not so many.
Yeah.
But the best one was with Charmcaster and Michael Morning.
Right. They were
That
like,
was the best one besides the final episode.
they were the power couple from hell.
But they did have within the first 2 seasons some really good episodes. They really showcased writing, the characters, and them having growth. And we got to see a little more Azimuth.
A lot.
Yeah.
Quite a bit, yeah. Because he ended up being connected to one of the last story arcs where they actually gave a plot to the Forever Knights, and they were showing what was their whole reason for existing, because these groups were not really popular people. They were like the least liked one, so they tried to give them more of a presence and a purpose why they were there and why they were obsessed with wiping out aliens. And you actually had the better part of season 3 where they actually showed you how the sword that you thought was Excalibur was made by Azimuth, actually how this immortal knight was living all this time just to defeat the dragon, or
It
they
was
call it
like a
Dagon.
version of Merlin.
Yeah, it was actually really interesting, and they should have just kept that and taken out a lot of that filler episode, and I think it would have been seen a better received.
Another thing that happened with Ultimate Alien that didn't happen in either Classic Ben 10 or Alien Force or any of the movies is they started to have people die. People started being killed in there, and it was like, whoa, what are they doing?
Yeah.
And it's not like, oh, we're so innocent, we can't deal with it. It's just that this particular franchise never went that route until now.
Yeah, and that's what was off, because for Ben, now Ben never took anyone out himself. And even with Vilgax, as vile as he was, he never wanted him dead. He even helped save his planet. No matter what, Ben would try to save somebody. But in here, they made an excuse where he couldn't save people because one episode, one character was constantly taking people out so they couldn't get discovered or tracked, and everyone, like 6 people, died in one episode, and he couldn't do anything about it. He felt horrible about it. And then aliens started dying, and it was like, why are so many characters getting taken out? I don't care if they're one-offs or main or side. This isn't Ben 10. Rarely did a character die in here. Either they came back, or they were saved, or you thought they were gone, they came back, like Max.
Or they were gone and you never were sure, like with Kevin, and the one who killed his dad.
You're right.
So, yeah, that was a really big change here. And again, we don't know if it's because they were trying to just stay together after Dwayne McDuffie's passing, or if this was originally planned. And let's all give them a little bit of slack, because we have no idea what they were, with Man of Action, the writers and stuff were going through after his passing. We don't know what the network might have been demanding that they do, or the network panicking and taking it out on the writers and the creators. So we'll give them some slack, not knowing how they were trying to deal with this, because that had to be not just on a personal level, losing a friend and a coworker and so forth, but someone who was, you know, a major part of making the Ben 10 universe cohesive. So we have to give them a little slack. But yeah, the killing thing was just totally like
too much. It was not fitting for Ben 10. And for someone to say, oh, I miss when it was a fun, lighthearted show, and it's like, no, none of these series in Ben 10 were ever lighthearted, Saturday morning, goofy, silly, like you're watching Looney Tunes or Disney Channel. Ben may have been the most lighthearted in comparison, but all of them were serious. All of them had a serious tone, but Dwayne McDuffie trusted that the kids could handle mature themes without having to be relentless and violent and gory or preachy. He knew kids could handle it in these mature subjects and learn from them. Ultimate Alien, towards the end, just kind of went too far in this direction after he passed, because he wrote the final episode and the first draft episode of Omniverse, and then that was the end of what he had in Ben 10.
Another thing that was really weird to hear is the relationship between Ben and Julie. It just didn't work. It almost was like off again, on again. She was pissed about things that were stupid.
And
she was easily influenced by Dagon, who was Vilgax.
Right.
She was turning on her boyfriend because of some space alien who she thought was the answer to all of Earth's problems. It was
Right.
kind of like Kevin said, Julie, you're too smart for this. And that's what you're thinking. Is like, why would she fall for this? Why would she turn on them and side with a giant squid octopus, whatever the heck it was supposed to be?
Right.
It just didn't make sense. One minute she was pissed, I'm not gonna talk to you. Well, I'll give you another chance. Next minute, oh, you're a horrible boyfriend.
oh my gosh, she was like,
I don't
she
want to
was
be with you. I'm gonna find someone else.
like,
Another
good
minute.
grief.
And it was just really strange.
And then
You had Kevin and Gwen getting along,
Uh-huh.
and you had Ben and Julie not getting along.
Right. And then on top of it, the way it was written, everything was Ben's fault. And yeah, I know this is a really tiresome trope. This is tiresome too. And for me, you know, I'm not a guy, but I think this would be kind of crappy to hear all the time. Everything is your fault. And from Ben's point of view, yeah, he could be a little bit negligent sometimes. Every now and then,
clueless.
yes. Yeah, every now and then, yes. But it's like he was the bad guy for blowing her off to save someone's life, to save the world, to fight crime. Even if he had told her, Gwen and Kevin and Julie all acted like he was in the wrong for not putting her ahead of saving lives. And I don't understand, why does your relationship matter more than saving people and you know you can save them? They act like that shouldn't matter. The relationship matters more.
It also reminded me of Batman Beyond when that crap was happening with Terry and Dana.
Yeah.
And you should have just put him with Max. But it reminded me of the same thing. No matter what, the person who is sacrificing everything to try to save the world, literally giving up their own lives and endangering themselves each time, is seen as the villain. Yeah, you're right. It's a trope that needs to just be put to rest.
Yeah.
And in here, it just didn't work. Now, a good thing is we were learning as we watched Ultimate Alien where they got a lot of the ideas for the Ben 10 reboot.
Yeah.
Including with the new Omnitrix.
Yes, Asmus gave another Omnitrix that was the version he was meant to have years ago, and that's what he ended up using in Omniverse. So it was a little more simplistic. He could just rotate and pick one. It was easier. It was small. It was sort of like he had his own smartwatch before they officially had them. And you saw characters like the fish in it looked like Mr. Limpet and Ma Riedel and other one-off characters that had some lines and never seen again. They decided, I love this character for 2 seconds. I need to make this a full-on character in this show, which to me is like, you sure you were watching for the right reasons? But yeah, you could see where a lot of it came from, and then where they get the ideas for the 19 version with different plot lines for the specials and the movies and the crossovers that they ended up destroying later, but you can tell it started with this incarnation.
So the great thing is they brought back all the voice actors. We're really happy to hear everyone return.
Yes.
Animation was still fantastic. The characters, for the most part, seasons 1 and 2, part of 3, were themselves.
Right.
They only had a little, a hiccup, as we mentioned, when it got toward the end.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the stories were good.
Yes.
The Forever Nights was a great arc to put in. And a really good one is putting, again, Vilgax somehow coming back and pretending he was a fake small G.O.D. Dagon.
Right.
And these people were believing it.
Right.
And I kind of wish that had gone on a little longer and ended too quickly.
Yeah.
Because all of a sudden it was over.
And it was to the Forever Nights.
Right. And you didn't get to see more of how he influenced them. I would like to see what other things he got these stupid people to do.
Right.
Who were thinking that he was who he said he was.
Right.
I would like to see a little more of that. And the last thing I want to add is this Forever Night is what they should have copied in the reboot. A Forever Night was stupid. I'm sorry, guys. Man of Action, I love you, but the Forever Night is dumb. That was one of the dumbest things ever. And you could have returned to the Forever Knights, could have made them younger,
Right.
could have made them a smaller group.
Right.
And if you wanted them to be less serious, you could have done that too. But having a Forever Knight was just dumb. The Forever Knights in this version is the best that you've done.
Right.
And I wish you had stuck to that when you decided to renew the series.
Right.
But for the most part, I would give Ultimate Alien, I would say a B-. And I say that because, again, when it got toward the end, in that final season, the filler episodes and things didn't
It
make
just went
sense.
all over the place. Yeah.
Right, I have to give it a B- for that very reason. If they had managed to do that better, and again, I don't know what they were struggling with after Dwayne Murphy's passing, but because of those reasons and because of the killing,
Yeah.
I would have to say a B-.
Right. And my last thing I want to mention is that you could still tell that there were parts of Dwayne McDuffie's writing in there, whether he was the head writer or consultant for some episodes, because the show at its worst was when they did a lot of the filler ones, like the one with Animal having dinosaur eggs hatching, that was just like lame as heck. And then the best one was prisoner number 775 is missing, and that was a heavier subject matter for when it came to like prisoners of war, and that was not something that was done back then, being a subject for a kids show, which really wasn't for kids, it's for anybody. That one really stood out to a lot of people because at that time they weren't doing that, but they were actually kind of teaching, when someone escapes, they're not all the time just the evil convict trying to get back out and do crime. You heard his backstory, how he lost everything, his family, and why he wanted revenge. You could empathize with him, but still didn't want him to take someone's life, and that was probably it at its greatest and more of Dwayne McDuffie's writing, and those were the type of episodes that stood out when it got to the final season.
So if you've seen Ben 10 Ultimate Alien, let us know what you think in the comments below. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Did you think it was mad? Did you think it fit into the franchise? Let us know. If you haven't seen it, it's available on most streaming services. You have to pay. It's not free. And you can give it a watch and come back and see. We're really excited about seeing what this new live action series is going to be. Yes, they've had some hits and misses, but for the most part, this franchise has been fantastic. It's not like anything that has ever been Western animation, Western writing, and series. So we are excited about seeing where they're going to take it into the future. We know there's a lot of negativity online, especially on Twitter. I don't agree with it.
Right.
I want to see where it's going to go. And I really would like to see Man of Action just take its place back on the top of the mountain,
Right.
but where they belong, with having a great show that motivates, inspires, characters with growth, characters who have values and morals, and hopefully they can do some great writing within this new series.
Yeah. And as for these three main series as a whole, like you said, we don't hate the whole franchise or hate when he's a teen just because of some bad episodes or bad seasons of Ultimate Alien. We still love all three, but we can understand not liking a part of it and it changing, but we will not throw this franchise or these three series under the bus
Or
because of that. No,
No.
we will still forever love Ben 10 with its flaws and all.
Yes.
So, if you haven't already, subscribe for updates and weekly videos on your favorite anime series, anime shows, and all things animation.
Thank you so much for joining us today for this podcast, because this series brings us so much joy to this franchise, and we're really happy you're joining us on our journey down Ben 10 Lane.
Yes.
So if you're not subscribed to you, let us know below. Check out the channel, and again, we appreciate your support. You're awesome, and we're very happy to share our joy and things we love.
Yes. So, thank you so much for watching Rascal Entertainment.
And I'm Entertainment.
Have a fantastic day.